Hey guys, Jay here, and I'm back after a while, not posting any video. Today I'm back with a video on Last Epoch, and it's gonna be a guide on damage. I will try to make this as comprehensive as possible. It will allow you to know everything that you need to know about scaling damage in this game. The first part is going to be it's going to be a TLDR. So I will try to give a quick summary of the important key things that you would want to remember, that you would want to know, to basically, for example, if you want to build your own character, or if you want to see if a piece of gear is good on the market. For example, if you play merchant skill, if you want to see if a piece of gear is good for your build, then you have the basic understand of how to scale your damage on a specific skill or a specific build, right? And the second part, the long part of the guide, is going to be on every single details that I can think of, that I have researched, that I have learned in the past week or so. This video will take me quite a long time to make, so if you find this helpful, please consider to leave the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, or more content in PoE also. Okay, so let's start. The first part of the video, as I promised, is going to be a TLDR, right? So first of all, hold your Alt key. This technique, you want to hold the Alt key and hover over a skill. It will show you all the tags that allow you to scale the damage. So that is very helpful. Second, flat damage is very good. More damage is very good. Penetration is very good. Some armor shred is very good for almost every single build. If you come from other games, probably you assume, sorry about that, probably you assume that armor only works against physical damage. That is normally how it works. Especially if you come from PoE like me. But actually in this game, armor applies to all types of damage: fire, cold, lightning resistant, fire, cold, lightning, poison, void, and necrotic. So it applies to everything at 70% effect. It applies at 100% effect to physical, so it's still the best for physical mitigation. So, well, armor shred is very good. You have armor shred, you reduce the armor of the target, and it increases the damage that enemies take on any type of damage that you're dealing. So that's very good. Like, tooltip is not good. Tooltip is just like probably the first half of the calculation in terms of how much damage you're dealing, and it does not take into account a lot of things. For example, if you play a ignite build, for example, the tooltip on your skill is shit. It's nothing. It's nothing related to the damage that you actually build, that your build actually do. You do any kind of element, basically is useless, right? So tooltip is just something that, for example, if you are in a hit build, a spell cast, or an attack build that basically are hit based, maybe it helps with when you are equipping a new item. If the tooltip increase, chances are that is a better item to scale your damage. But that is pretty much it. Right, and the last thing I want to mention in the TLDR here is there is always a 20% variant in how much damage your character is dealing. For example, if mathematically your character is dealing 1,000 damage, it will not always deal 1,000 damage. It will deal anywhere from 800 to 1.2k damage. So just know that it exists out there, right? So get that out of the way. That is the TLDR. If that is everything that you want to know, you just want to know the basic, then just know all of those that I mentioned. And from now on, I will try to explain every single detail that I can, that will help you to improve your damage in Last Epoch. But before that, I want to give a shout out to Zuko Wow. He is a content creator that created a video on the same topic, damage in Last Epoch. I watched it initially, and then I realized that he's a new player also, so he missed a few things here or there. It is a very good video. He has some very nice recommendation for newer player. but you know, he is not covering everything. So I want to make my take on damage in Last Epoch. So shout out to him. I will leave the link to the original video and his channel in the description. So check it out. Right. So first of all, the magic button, the Alt key. So first of all, let me get to the game here and show you the Alt key here. For example, let's say this Wraith Lord, this Summon Wraith skill. If you normally you hover over it, or you press you hover over it, you see minion scaling tax. It's minion's intelligence, so it means that it's scaled with minion damage, and intelligence also increased damage. But if you hold Alt over here, right, you have the details of how much things are giving you basically. So you have gain 204 health over there, so 3 per point, gain 272% increased damage. So that is 4% per point. So you will see it is 4% increased damage per intelligence and 3 flat health per intelligence. Right. For example, if you are seeing something like the Infernal Shade here, right, you hold Alt, you will see how much damage you are getting from your intelligence, and you are also seeing added spell damage applies at 250% of effectiveness. This basically means if you have 10 points of flat spell damage, it will add 25 flat damage to the calculation basically. Your maximum shade, yeah. So basically, you have all the details about one skill by holding Alt and then hover over the specific skill, right? So that is a very nice thing to do. That is a very useful thing for if you want to learn about the game. If you want to start out, for example, making your own character, that is very helpful, right? The best place to check your damage is going to be the arena dummy. If you are new and you don't know what the arena dummy is, you will, I'll show you how to get it. So first of all, you see an arena key. You probably have one of these, right? It is not a rare drop. It is pretty common, and it will drop anywhere near the end game to Monolith, right? So arena, what you can do is right click on it. Oh, the game is lagging, the game is lagging. Let me try to get a monolith here and see if it improved the lag. As you can see there, I clicked on the monolith and it's not loading, so the game is a little bit lagging for me. Okay, bear with me for a moment here. All right, so if you right clicked on the arena key, it will open the map for you and it will show you exactly the place where the arena is. It is in the Champions Gate. It has the arena text over here. So you see, if you come to here, you will see the dummy. This is another tip for newbie players. For any kind of key, for dungeon keys, you just right click on the key and it will directly show you where you can use the key to open the dungeons, right? So here's the arena, the Champions Gate area, and here you see the dummies. Right, there's a lot of kind of dummies. This is the single target one. This is a bunch of dummies together. These dummies have no mitigation whatsoever, so the damage that you deal to these dummies are like true damage, whatever. Right, for example, I will show you how it works here. Another thing, if you are playing a minion build, and the minion will not automatically attack these dummies. So what you can do is you hover over the dummy and you press A. That is the command to make the minion, prioritizing attack a target. It works also in Monolith, in boss fighting, whatever. If you want to focus down a target, you can press A on that target, and then your minions, if you're playing a minions build, they will target that, right? Right. And yeah, I just show the difference in this build I'm currently playing, one of the broken build in the game, right? So that out of the way, let's get to the damage formula in Last Epoch. So first of all, this is the formula. It looks like a lot, but you know, actually if you understand how it works, it's not that much. It has 3 portions to the damage calculation. This one is very similar to the how the damage is calculated in PoE. So first of all, it is base damage. So every skill have a certain amount of base damage. It is the kind of damage that you will see on the skill. If you do not have any gear on yourself, no skill passive, no character passive, so basically no bonuses from anywhere, and the skill still have a DPS number, that is probably the base damage, right? And then the base, this part, the base plus the total added times effectiveness, this is the flat portion of the calculation. So the added here, for example, you can have, for a melee build, you have a weapon, it will probably have a certain amount of added melee damage. Let me actually go into the game and show you. Right, so for example, this weapon base, it has plus 50 melee damage. So if I have a melee skill, let me actually put a melee skill. I think this class have Harvest as the melee skill. If I remove the weapon, you can see here 170 damage. This one, add a weapon, it has some flat, so 398. This is pretty much a minion weapon. So it has some flat damage implicitly and has 61 melee cold damage there, which both added to the damage of this Harvest skill, right? So that is the added damage. The added damage is then multiplied by the effectiveness. So the effectiveness of a skill is, for example, as you can see here, Dress Shade has a 250% effectiveness of added damage. So if you have 10, again, if you have like 10 damage added, it will be 25. Right here, 10 damage here times effectiveness 250% is 2.5, so that is 25 damage, right? 2 times the total increased damage, so that is from every source that says increased damage. So it can be anything that is increased damage that are related to the tags of a skill, and also just general increased damage. And then after that calculation, it will times all the more multipliers one by one. So if you have like 10 more multipliers, so it will times the first one, second one, last one. Yeah, you know. An example. So for example, in this case here, if you have 100 base damage, so this part over here, base damage is 100, and then total added damage is you have 50 added damage here, 100 added damage here, so you have 2 sources of added damage. 400% effectiveness here, 400%, 200% increased damage, just an example again, 20% more, 40% more, and 60% more. So we have 3 more multipliers. So let's see how the damage is calculated. So 100 base plus 50 added and 100 added. So this 150 added damage times 400% of effectiveness, which is 600. So 600 here plus 100 is 700. We have 700 flat damage. It will times here 200% increased damage. So basically you always have 100% already. So that is why 1 here represent 100% and 2 here represent the 200% increased damage. So the flat damage is multiplied by 3. So that is 2001. The 2.1k damage. Now it times 1.2 times 1.4 and times 1.6. 1.2 is 20% more damage. Again, you always have 100% already. So if you have a 20% more multiplier, that means you are dealing 120% of the damage. So that is 1.2. Same go for 40% is 1.4. 60% is 1.6. And the final result here is this number. I call this the formula damage. Right, so this is the first part of the formula. This is not even the stuff that you see in the tooltip yet, because the tooltip, if you have a skill that is attack or spell cast, you will also have attack speed, cast speed. Yeah? So that also factor into the DPS. It's just a hit calculate damage number basically. So the next one I want to mention is gonna be Ailment. So Ailment in this game works quite different from, at least from PoE, where the first game that I started, and also my main game probably. So each element in this game has a fixed amount of base damage, and in order to check how much base damage you are having, right? So for example, if you want to play an Ignite build, Ignite. This is how you can check. So the Ignite have a base of 40 damage per 2.5 seconds. This is the in-game game guide. This is very helpful. It gives you all basic information that you need to know. You do not need to read through everything. It has, I think, almost everything. This is a pretty good one. Probably the best in-game guide that I have ever seen in a game, actually. So as you can see here, all the elements here, you have a lot of them, and some of them deal damage. Most of the damage dealing element is damage over time, but there is also one special one that I'm not sure if it's here, Shadow Dagger. Yeah, there's one special element that is exclusive to the Rogue class, that is Shadow Dagger, and that one is not a damage over time. That is a hit, and it always crit. So that one is just a special one, but normally on any other cases, if you are using any kind of element, you can check how much is dealing here. For example, Ignite is 40 damage, Bleed is 53 damage over 3 seconds. So in 3 seconds it deals total of 53 damage by default. So yeah, because they have a fixed flat damage from early to end game, so these things are actually very strong early on. So if you are leveling, anything that give you a chance to ignite, to bleed, to frostbite, whatever, it will give you a lot of damage. Frostbite here is 36 damage over 3 seconds. Electrify is 44 damage over 2.5 seconds. Poison 28 over 3 seconds. Right, you need to know any details about the element that you want to play, then you can read it in the game. Right, it can stack to 999 plus stack. So 999 here is the maximum number that will display on the target where you can stack the ignite, poison, bleed, whatever kind of element. So basically, for example, in PoE, you can only stack one stack of ignite, but you can stack an infinite number of poison, for example. In this game, you will always be able to stack an infinite amount of element on the target, except for Time Rod. Time Rod is a special void element that only stack up to 12 times. I think Doom only stack to 4 times something. But normally the ignite, the poison, the bleed, the frostbite, and the electrify, those are the main thing. That is the damage dealing element. They stack to 999, right? So this is one of the target that you want to achieve if you are playing an element build. More stacks equals more damage, right? Mostly they require a hit to apply on most build. There are some special occasions where you, for example, use the Glyph of Dominion. That is the last skill of the Rune Master. Then you can have the ignite per second if the enemy is just staying on the Glyph of Dominion. So sometimes it can be that kind of, ground area of effect kind of thing. But most of the time it requires you to hit the enemy with a spell or an attack, and then that hit will apply a certain number of stack of element. So how to scale it? Normally you scale it by chance to element. For example, chance to bleed, chance to ignite. Let's just say I play ignite the most, so I will use ignite as an example here. If you play a ignite build, you would want as much a chance to ignite as possible. Why? Because 100% chance to ignite equal, if you hit an enemy, you have one stack of ignite on the enemy. If you have anything more than 100%, for example 150%, then you have another 50% chance to apply a additional stack of ignite. So for example, if you have like 1,000% chance to ignite, you will apply 10 ignite per hit. So that is very, very strong. And also hit rate, of course, every hit you apply a certain amount of stack. So the more hit, the more stack of ignite. And of course, you can still scale it with any kind of normal increased damage. For example, ignite, it will scale with increased damage, increased fire damage. Of course, if you reduce the enemy resistance, if you increase their damage taken, and also apply to damage over time, increase damage over time, more damage over time, more fire damage. You know, all those kind of things. But the chance to ignite or the chance to element here is something that I want to specially mention. That might work different from other games. From what I see, this is the first time I have faced a situation where they decided to go for, you know, stacking chance to apply an element. That is very cool. The first time I see it. Okay, next one is crit. So this is very, very bare normal. So you have a total crit chance is base crit chance, total base crit chance, times total applicable crit increased critical strike chance. So base crit chance, let me show you in game here. Right. Let me see if I have a. I think I will have a weapon with base crit chance. For example, dagger here. For example, this dagger here, it has +4 critical strike chance as one of the implicit. So any skill that you are using will have +4 to the base critical strike chance. So all the sources of base critical strike chance from gear, from passive, from skill passive, from character passive will be added together to make the total base crit chance, and then it will be multiplied by the total increased critical strike. For example, increased critical strike. Yeah, for example, here 52% increased critical strike chance. Right. So there are roles that are specifically to spell crit, so that will not apply to attack. Just know that. And the total damage of a crit hit is the formula damage, which is the one that we calculated before that, and then times the total crit damage, assuming that we are already critting on that hit. That is, this one is very simple. Right. Next topic is going to be shred. So shred, first of all, there are two basic kind of shred. First of all is the resistance shred. So resistance shred is like physical shred, fire shred, necrotic shred. So each one of those will reduce the resistance by 2% on bosses and 5% on other enemies. I think it's stacked up to 10 times, so maximum you can shred a boss resistant by 20% and a normal enemy by 50% with shred maximum. And then we have armor shred. So armor shred is minus 100 flat armor per armor shred stack. It can stack infinitely, but it has diminishing return. Why it has diminishing return? Because if you reduce the enemy armor to 0, then you have nothing more to reduce, basically. So yeah, the armor, again, I want to mention this one more time. Armor shred is very, very strong and is useful for every single build basically, because armor applies to all the type of damage. As you can see in here, armor reduce damage taken from all hits, but not damage over time. So armor shred is very good for all hit build. Sorry, I think I messed up there, but for all hit build, not all build, all hit build. And armor is 70% effective against non-physical damage, so it applies to every single type of damage. Most effective against physical, but it is applied to everything, so it is very strong. You probably want some source of armor shred for any build that is a hit build. Next one, penetration. Penetration. So it is the direct counter to resistance. So if the enemy have 75% resistance, you have 25% penetration. The enemies now only have 50% resistance. So that is very straightforward. It's additive with itself and resistance shred. So if you have, for example, 10 stack of fire shred on an enemy, you are playing a fire build, then that is already 20% reduced resistance on the enemy. And if you have multiple sources of penetration, you will add up all those kind of things. For example, if you have a total of 50% reduced resistance, and then you add it with a 10 shred stack on the boss, so that is additional 20% reduced resistance. So that is a total of 70% reduced resistance on that target. So your damage dealt to the enemy will be resisted by only 5% of the resistance, basically. And this one, penetration, applies to both hits and to dot damage as well. This is different from Path of Exile. Path of Exile penetration only work for hits, but in this game, penetration is actually working for damage over time as well, which makes damage over time much stronger in comparison to, you know, dot in PoE versus dot in versus hit damage in PoE. Normally, dot in PoE have a certain ceiling that it will reach, and the ceiling for dot damage in PoE is much lower than the ceiling for hit damage. But in this game, it's less, you know. Ultimately, crit is still the best way to go for as much damage as possible in this game. But what I want to say is dot damage can reach a pretty respectable amount compared to crit, compare Last Epoch to PoE, for example. Right? Alright, I picked my nose 1,000 times again, someone noticed that. But for some reason, whenever I record a video, I just need to do that. I don't know why, man. Right, next one, increased damage taken. So this is pretty much a more multiplier that is applied on top of everything. It is additive itself. So for example, if you have two sources of 30% increased damage taken, they will be added together to a 60% instead of like two separated more multiplier. It'll become a 60% more multiplier, basically. The most obvious case of increased damage taken, I just want to mention quickly, is actually the Void 9. So the Void 9 has a first skill of Volatile Reversal. Is it Volatile Reversal? Not sure, but there's the skill that make your character travel back in time, and it create Void Rift, where you start and where you came back, right? And each of those Void Rift increase the damage enemy taken by 30% if you take the passive in the skill tree. So that is the most glaring example of increased damage taken. Very strong skill, very strong mechanic for just more damage. Right. Next one, damage conversion. I want to mention about this one. So everything you need to remember about damage conversion is you need to be aware of the tag change. So why is that? let me show you in the game here. Rip blood, for example, conversion. So as you can see here, this is one very special example. Actually, the rip blood have two conversion nodes. So first of all, this conversion, the rip blood and blood spiral physical damage is converted to necrotic, and consequently the damage scale with necrotic damage, but not to increase physical damage. So you need to specifically know when you convert a damage. Normally it will remove the ability to scale with the original kind of damage type. For example, in this case, it will remove your ability to scale with any kind of increased physical damage. Right? It doesn't double dip like in PoE where you convert. You will benefit from both the type of damage that you convert from and to, but in this game you only get the benefit from one single type damage. And this one, it's not technically damage conversion, but it converts bleed to poison. So bleed deals physical damage and poison deals poison damage. So if you have gear or if you have passive that increase physical damage, normally it would apply to the bleed. If you take this, it will not apply to the poison. Basically, those are the things that I think you need to know when you are playing with the damage conversion. Just remember this. If you are converting your skill, you need to check, and you don't want to lose out on some damage, you should check if you have any source of damage increase or more damage that is specifically tied to the type of damage that you are now not doing, right? So Minion. So Minion is something special. Normally Minion have the Minion tag, so it scale with Minion damage. It does not scale with your character damage. It does not scale with your character stat. But there is something special that I want to mention here about Minion scaling. So Minion power is something hidden that is not specifically mentioned in the game. So from level 26, so the first 25 level, this has no effect, but from level 26 is the first time you get 0.6% more damage per level. So at level 100 you have 45% more minion damage at character level 100 by default, and this one also provide 45% less damage taken for the minions, not for your character, for the minions. And this is something that is not mentioned directly in the game for minion build, so you guys may miss it. I want to mention it specifically. So minion build scale is especially well with character level. So yeah, that is something that is specifically tied to minion. Right, so that's the end of the video. If you think that is helpful to you, if you like the content, please consider to like and subscribe to the channel. This channel is going to be Path of Exile and Last Epoch content primarily. Maybe if there's a new ARPG coming that is good, I'll cover that as well. Currently there's no D4 in this channel. But thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, please subscribe. Peace.